If you are running an agency and you are charging 2, 3, or 4 grand a month, you do not have to change what you are selling in order to charge $10,000 a month. You can sell the exact same thing at triple the rates. And I know this because this is exactly what I did. By the way, my name's Alex Hartsuff. I started an agency in 2019, sold it in 2023. We were doing about $5 million a year, 426 grand a month to be exact. And we've helped over 300 agency owners transform the service they currently sell into an enterprise offer worth $10,000 a month. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my client, Adam Taylor, who runs an ad creative agency, who did this exact thing. Adam did not change his service. He changed 3 things. He repositioned his offer, he built a real sales process, and he built a crisis buyer funnel to bring him leads who could afford to pay for what he was looking for. Let's get into how he did it right now. See, the issue that most agency owners have is that they do not have an offer. They have a job description. They say things like, we'll do your Facebook ads for 4 grand a month. We'll do your email marketing for $3,500 a month. We'll write your content for 4K a month. We'll do a AI automation build for you for however much a month. But the issue is that's not an offer. An offer answers 4 questions. What do I get? How long is it going to take? When will I know it's done? And what happens if it doesn't work? If you just tell a prospect, we'll run your Facebook ads month to month, you don't do any of those things. And by the way, if you just say your job description, well, what does that do to you? It makes you a commodity. It makes you the exact same as every other agency that you compete against. If you've ever gotten to the end of a sales call and had a prospect say, hey, this is all great, but now I need to go talk to agency B, C, D, E, and F, the issue was they thought that you were the exact same as all the other people they're going to talk to. You did not have a compelling offer that put them in a position where they felt like this person does the exact same thing that I need. And so because you are a commodity, because you sound like every other agency, what is the only thing that you can compete on? It's price. So what do? You get price shopped. You get asked for discounts. You say, hey, they said they're going to do it for 3K. Can you do it for 3K? And so if all you have is a job description and not an offer, that's the first thing that's going to keep you from being able to charge what it is that you want to charge. Now, I want to talk to you about Adam's offer. When Adam first came to us, he was selling these UGC packages, right? UGC package, hey, we'll help you put more ad creative in there so you can convert more customers, right? 4 or 5K a month. The issue with that is that every ad creative agency in the world says the exact same thing. And I know that because back in 2021, when we were selling ad creative, that's what I said. We said, hey, we'll help you convert more customers. Back 5 years ago, that was a new novel thing. But now everybody says that. And so he gets compared against every other agency. He gets price shopped against every other agency. So what we had to do is we had to reorient his offer around the actual thing that buyers are looking for. Now, see, most ad creative agencies, when you go to them, they'll say, hey, we'll help you make creative that converts. And while you might think that's good, the issue is lots and lots of people have bought ad creative from ad creative agencies. They put them into their ad account and they have not converted. Why? Because they didn't understand the actual angles and the messaging that makes creative convert consistently at scale over time. So we oriented Adam's offer around that. It's no longer, hey, we'll help you make ad creative that converts. It's we're going to help you understand the creative data system that allows you to extract the data on the angles and messaging that convert your customers and allow you to scale your spend without breaking your CPA. So now, instead of having the same commoditized 5K offer that every other ad creative agency has, what Adam has is a $27,000 offer that spans over the course of 3 months. And because it's already built in over several months over retainer, the upsell is very easy. You hear a lot these days about these intro offers and sprint offers. It seems like everybody's advertising that that's what you should do if you run an agency. What happens is most agency owners go off and they try to build an intro offer by themselves. And what they end up building is a dead end offer, something where the prospect buys the thing, they take it and they leave. I'm talking email flow builds. I'm talking one-time creative packages. I'm talking one-time website builds. What happens? The prospect says, oh, this is great. Thanks so much for building this. We're going to take it. We're going to run it. We're going to test it. We'll let you know what happens. We'll let you know when we need more. Guess what? They didn't need more. They didn't come back. How do I know? Happened to me. So what you've got to do is you've got to build your offer in such a way that it gives you a specific outcome. Hey, we're going to build these creative angles for you that allows you to have the messaging, the angles that you need in order to scale. And we're going to do it over a 3-month period. And as soon as we get to the end of the 3 months, guess what? If you want more angles and more creative built on that messaging, you want to continue to optimize, continue to scale, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to keep paying me in order to continue to produce those angles, right? So Adam has a very easy upsell from his $27,000 $10,000 offer into this long-term 6 to 12 month offer where people continue to get creative. That's what you've got to do. So ultimately, if you want to charge more for the current thing that you're selling, the first thing that you have to do is stop selling the thing that you sell, and you have to sell the problem that you solve. And you need to understand the sophistication of your market and what other people are saying they solve, and you need to go one level deeper. You need to figure out, why did that actually not work, and what is the real true thing that my client needs in order to succeed. That's step number one. And by the way, don't forget, when you are selling to bigger clients, when you're selling to enterprise clients, you're trying to charge more, go up market, all those things, what they care about is not the cost. These clients don't want the cheapest option. They want the best option. They want the option that has the highest likelihood of getting them the outcome they're looking for with the lowest risk. What they hear is 60 meetings a month, or it's free, risk reversal type of thing, which I'm sure you've seen in your ads feed 1,000 times over, right? But it's not always about putting in an implicit guarantee, because implicit guarantees can work. There can be a time where it makes sense for that, but at a certain point, an implicit guarantee can actually bring down your positioning. If you were as good as you say you were, you might not need to necessarily put some sort of money back guarantee in there, because maybe you're so good you don't need to attract people that way. Now, there are times where it makes sense to have risk reversals, especially if you're newer. This is one of the things I don't have time to get into right now, but just know implicit guarantees like that can work in certain circumstances. They can hurt you in other circumstances too. But ultimately, what you need to do is you need to build your introductory offer so it has a risk reversal in and of itself, right? A defined offer with a defined timeline. And by the way, if at the end of the timeline you don't want this anymore, you get to keep everything that we've built. So it has some sort of risk reversal inside of that. Now, again, this is what we built for Adam, and we actually did it for him over a 5-day period. We call it our Enterprise Client Workshop. We do live virtual workshops where we actually walk you through our entire enterprise client system. It's not free, but it's really good. We've got hundreds and hundreds of people who have come through this thing. We've got 30, 40 video testimonials on the lander. If you want to check it out, go to the link in the description. It's down there. But let me keep going, because even if you have a good offer, now you got to know how to sell it. Now, I don't know if this sounds like you, but this was definitely me when I first started in sales for my agency. What most agency owners do that we talk to when they get on a sales call is they think they do discovery. They do some sort of process where they ask a couple of questions about their prospect, about the company, whatever, and then what do? They start rambling for 10, 15, 20 minutes about how great they are, about everything they can do for the client, right? They just start talking and talking and talking about themselves. You get to the end of the call, the client says, okay, hey, this all sounds great. Let me think about it, and then we'll let you know, right? Or I got to talk to my partner and we'll let you know, right? Or I got to, it's kind of expensive. Let me check the bank account, check the finances, then I'll let you know, right? See, the issue is that most agencies don't have a sales process. They have a hope it goes well and I don't get an objection process. First thing that you need to know if you're selling larger packages is this whole idea of the one call close is probably not going to happen as much as you want it to. We do have some clients who use one call closes, and I've one call close 10 grand a month deals myself. I actually have a recording inside of our program of me doing a $20,000 one call close. But the thing is that most of the time you're not going to get that. You need to be prepared for a multi-call process. Now, some people hear that and they think the enterprise sales call process is going to be long, or the enterprise sales cycle is long. It's really not the case. We have clients that close them in 7 days, 14 days, but it's because they had multiple calls over those 7 or 14 days. So you need to be prepared for a 2 to 3 call sales process. We really try to get it in 2. Typically on the first call, it's discovery and pitch. We use a 5P discovery process. First P, problem. Why are you here? What's the issue? Second P, past. How have you tried to solve this problem before? Third P, pain. What is the issue, or what's the cause of having this in your business right now? Fourth P, potential. What's the goal? What happens when you solve this? And fifth P, position. Why are you looking to do this now? Who else is involved in this decision? And based on what they told you in discovery, you then bake that into your pitch, right? You say, hey, based on what it is that you told me, use their words against them. 3-pillar pitch. Go through our 5P pitch process, which is position. This is who we are. Pillars. This is how we do what we do. Proof. This is our case studies. This is things that we've done before. Process. This is how it works. And then packages. Here's the actual offer, right? The most of the time they don't. That's okay, because we have a process in place for that. We set up a second call with a purpose, not just a, hey, after you've had time to think about it, let's hop on another call. No, we have a specific purpose. We typically do an audit or some sort of plan. We have an audit deck that we put together for them, specifically branded, colored, font, all for them. This is exactly what we would do for your company. Get them on that second call, bring the additional people on the second call who need that, and then we try to get them to make a decision at the end of the second call. If they don't make a decision at the end of the second call, there's typically something in the buying committee that you haven't uncovered. There's usually another person outside that you haven't brought in, or you may never get to talk to, because sometimes you just never get to talk to the CEO. And so you need to have a good process. And all of this happens because somebody buying a small deal, A $3,000 a month deal is oftentimes making an emotional decision, and you're talking to the founder of the business. Somebody making a $10,000, $15,000 a month decision is typically not done emotionally. There is some emotion in the sales, and so don't think that there's no emotion in B2B sales. There absolutely is, but ultimately it's more of a cost, logical, and risk-based decision. And I remember when I was like first starting getting to learn how to do this, the thing that was most difficult for me was really two things. I used to over pitch all the time, so I would be like so nervous on the call to get to my pitch that I would just ask a couple of questions and then start rambling about all the things that we could do, the customized strategy or whatever that we would have for them on that first call. Just totally overwhelm them with information, and then they would end up leaving, ghosting, and I would have no idea why, because I thought that I did so great, but ultimately I did not. And maybe you've heard this analogy before, right? But like your job in sales is to be a doctor. It's to understand the issue and then prescribe the solution. And then ultimately the other thing that has been a huge unlock for me is just using prospects' words back to them, like literally repeating word for word what they said in discovery in your pitch. This is something that Adam used, and he brought his close rate up to 42%, even on cold traffic, which was awesome. It's literally what he said is it feels like cheating, and it really is. So if your prospect happens to say, hey, for example, hey, you know, we just feel like we don't know what we're doing. We're just making random creative. We're throwing it up against the wall and we're just hoping it sticks, right? What did I do? I would make my pitch literally, hey, you ever felt like you were maybe just making random creative and throwing it up against the wall and seeing if it sticks? And they'd go, oh my God, yes, I am. How did you know that? Because you told me. And I know every prospect says that because I've had this call so many times. And so where I messed up was pitching too early and using generic pitches. What I did instead was I acted like a doctor and I would use their words against them. And then finally, the last thing you got to do is you got to get in front of the right people. See, the reason that most agency owners don't pitch the prices that they want is because they don't have enough opportunities. If you had as many people to pitch as you want, you'd be able to price whatever you wanted to price, because if they said no, it wouldn't matter. You could just go on to the next person. But most agency owners, they post and they pray. They rely on content. They rely on referrals. They rely on things that they cannot control. Good, scalable lead gen is things that you can control with budget, not time. I typically recommend for people who are younger in their agency journey, not by age, but by the amount of time that they've been running a business, and people who have not proven their offer yet, to start with cold email. It's faster and it's cheaper. That being said, the leads that come through are definitely a little bit colder because you can't build as big of an authority frame as maybe when you are doing something like paid ads. Now, paid ads, on the other hand, if you have an offer that's cooking, if you have an offer that's proven that you know will sell, you know will get results, then put some money behind it, because the great thing about that is you're able to build more of an authority frame. You're able to put yourself in a higher light because they chose to come to you. You're able to get warmer calls, and it's a lot more scalable. Plus, you get the fact that you can brand yourself. For example, running ads on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You're starting to build your audience through that on the backside, because if you've got valuable content that you are posting at the same time, you'll grow your audience as well. You'll get followers, which then compounds to more deals over time. But the one thing you got to make sure you have, both for cold email and for paid ads, is we got to get rid of tire kickers. We got to get rid of people who are doing two things. Number one, come into a call wanting to be educated, aka ask you a ton of questions about the service, which means they're not ready to be sold, they're not ready to close, or the people who were never going to buy your stuff in the first place at these higher prices, so you're just wasting your time. So you really need to have a dialed in pre-call process. We typically split this up between two things. We typically send somewhere between 1 and 3 emails a day up to the call. I've seen people to say do more. The issue with this is, like with more sophisticated B2B buyers, they're a lot busier, so they open less emails, and also they get annoyed a little bit easier from what we've seen. And so 2 is usually the sweet spot. It's very much outcome focused and urgency focused. Here's what we can do for you, and here's why you need to do this thing right now and not delay, right? We're trying to speed up that process of them making a decision. And then second, you need to have a pre-call document that walks through the outcome that you deliver, proof that it works for people, who it's for, who it's not for, FAQ, and pricing. We always want to have pricing in there, and we typically don't give like the exact price of what it's going to be, but we give a range, lowest price to highest price of what we offer. And the reason for that is if they can't afford even the lowest price, I don't want them getting on the call. If they say, hey, I'll never even pay your low end, don't even waste my time. It's not worth it, right? They're just not your prospect. You need to move on. That's another thing. You just need to learn to move on from people who are not going to be the right people from you, instead of wasting all your time chasing these prospects who were never going to close anyway. So those are the 3 things that you need to change. Number 1, repositioning your offer around an expensive problem, not the thing that you sell. Number 2, building a sales call process, typically 2 calls where you do deep discovery with our 5 Ps, and then you pitch with our 5 Ps. Then second call, audit, build a custom strategy and plan for them, bringing everybody in who's in the buying committee that you can actually get access to, because it won't be everybody. And then number 3, building a crisis buyer funnel that you can control with budget and not hours through either cold email or paid ads. Now, if you want to see how all of this stuff works together, I invite you to join us for one of our live workshops on Zoom. It's 5 days. We have one coming up here pretty soon. The link's in the description. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.